Hello my friends, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. This is Jennifer. I don't have quite as many things to show you this week as I did for my very productive last week, but I do have a couple of things. I did finish the Caretaker's Array and my Voyager row is done. I even did the hand embroidery last week. I ended up using some leftover clear wash away stabilizer for my machine embroidery. I actually traced the design and pinned it on and hand embroidered over that because I never did find my my sulky product, so it's in here somewhere, but I don't need any more of it right now, so I'm not going to worry about it because I did get all that hand embroidery done on the Voyager row. I didn't do any more paper piecing last week, but I wanted to show you that I have successfully done my first half of my Quilt Your Own Adventure. The second half of the Voyager row was what I needed to finish last week, and that is what I finished last week. I do have all the patterns printed for my Enterprise row. I have my background fabric out. I have everything ready to go. I just have to start sewing, and it will probably be a little bit off and on over the rest of the week. For those of you participating in Quilt Your Own Adventure, I do have a little giveaway that's going to go out tomorrow for the Facebook group, the Fandom and Stitches Facebook group, and it is this awesome Moda Charm Pack that I believe Sarah from Houston gave me. There's a Fandom and Stitches button, a Fandom and Stitches sticker, and in the back I have an unused Harry Potter and the Cursed Child postcard. So you still have today until tomorrow to post your picture, and then you will be in the drawing for this, and then in a couple of weeks I will do another drawing. We have an establishment in Austin called the Austin Creative Reuse, and it is a thrift store of entirely craft goods. I had not been there before because I thought it was way further away from where I live than it actually is. It's about a 15-minute drive from me. I did want to try this place out, and I went down there, took a donation, and I also did a little poking around to see what they had, and I picked up a big chunk of cotton batting for $2. I picked up a quilt top for 50 cents, a bunch of ribbons for $1. I ended up spending $9 and some change, and I came home with all kinds of great stuff, including a whole bunch of brand new spools of Gutermann and Mettler thread, which are both threads that I like to use. Gutermann's my favorite, but I do like Mettler as well. So it was fun. I actually made myself leave so I wouldn't buy anything else, and I will probably go down there again at some point. I have a ton of craft supplies left from when my kids were little, even though I've cleaned it out and cleaned it out and cleaned it out. I keep finding stuff, so stuff that's not really appropriate for Linus and probably not even for our Linus Small. At some point I will take that down and donate it. So the 50-cent quilt top I actually brought home that day. It was in a bag and it was folded up, so I could only see about, I guess, a sixth or maybe an eighth of it because it was folded in a zipper bag. But I could tell that it was very baby soft. It had pretty colors. It was, and it was like sort of a wonky log cabin. So I brought that home, got it out, and I knew when I saw it in the shop that I had some backing fabric at home that would be perfect, that was actually donated to be fabric for Linus. So I pulled that out and I did get it finished, and I did not do video, but I have some photos, so I've probably been showing you that while I've been talking instead of looking at my face. You're probably seeing the quilt that I quilted. I had been wanting to try a teardrop. I saw a tutorial on YouTube for an open teardrop, and I will put a link in the description for that. Mine is not near as neat or as smooth as hers was because this was my first time, but I love the way it came out. It added a lot of interest and texture to a very simple quilt top. Didn't actually take me very long. It did take 2 bobbins, but it didn't take very long. Got that quilted, got it bound, washed it because it came from a thrift store. I tend to wash all of my quilts now just because I have cats in my house and I don't want to contaminate anyone with cat dander. So once I wash them, they are put away and they are not near any cats again. But this one I washed because I didn't know where it came from, and got it washed, got it all labeled, and it actually went out on Saturday. So that was a really fun, just little like boost of creative energy that I got to play with. And the ribbons I actually cut into ribbons for our IKEA bags. When we do deliveries for Linus, we tie the tops of the bags with ribbons to keep the quilts from and the blankets from just, you know, spilling out, or, you know, if they roll over or whatever. Grosgrain ribbon is by far the best thing to do that with because they don't come untied, and if you cut the ends at an angle, they don't really ravel. So I got enough ribbon from my $1 expenditure to make 89 IKEA bag ties. I cut them at a yard each, so that is a lot of ribbon. I had a little bit left over. I threw it in the Linus Small, and someone else took it home with them. So aside from my crafty thrift store adventure and getting a little bit done on my Star Trek roll-along / quilt your own adventure quilt, I also have been doing a little bit of crocheting here and there. So I mentioned to you guys that I have to elevate my foot occasionally, and well, by occasionally I mean 2 or 3 times a day, and sometimes I read, but sometimes I want to do something else, so I've been crocheting a little bit. Because I haven't been super in the mood to crochet a whole blanket, I actually went through all my yarn and I realized I had a lot of cotton yarn, and I pulled out cotton yarn and I started making dishcloths. And then I went to Joann's yesterday for something completely unrelated, as one does, and bought some dishcloth yarn. This is a Lily Sugar and Cream, but it's got cotton, and then it also has like this little scrubby. And I made this one yesterday. Here's the cotton, and then here's the scrubby. These are some I made previously just from leftover yarn that I had in my stash. I just need a dishcloth infusion. Mine are getting ancient. I haven't really replenished them. Robin sent me some, I think, last year, and then before that, the last time I had replenished my dishcloths was when we did a dishcloth swap on Live Journals, so it's been a while. And then I also bought this yarn, which I haven't used yet, and this is a Red Heart scrubby, and it's all scrubby, so that should be interesting to make for dishcloths. I don't like sponges, I think they're gross, so I make dishcloths and I use a new one every time I wash the dishes, so I usually have a giant stack of dishcloths when I do laundry. Just to backtrack for like 2 seconds, when I was talking about the blankets I turned in for Linus, I ended up turning in 5. One of those quilt tops was Alita's, 2 calendar quilts, the whole cloth Disney princess quilt that I showed you last week, and the thrift store quilt, which I called the 50-cent quilt. I keep track of what I'm donating during the year, not including other people's quilt tops. So like not including Alita's quilt tops or any other quilts that have been donated through me. I have donated 17 quilts already this year, and it is June. My goal for the year is 18. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to get one more made, for possibly 2 more for next month. And then we have some DIY we need to do. So I'm going to probably back off a little bit from working on as much Linus stuff. I could be wrong. I might just keep quilting. Who knows? I do need to do some DIY stuff, and we're going on a short vacation in July for our anniversary, and then probably after that it's going to be DIY city in my house. I do have a quilt on my quilt frame. It is the quilt for my brother. I haven't talked about it in a few weeks because, to make a very long story short, this is completely not my story to tell, so I'm not going to share very much information, but it is not a wedding quilt anymore. I actually picked out a bunch of the seams and changed parts of the quilt top. I bought a different quilt back, and it is on the frame, and when I get it quilted, it will go to my brother. So that's what I was doing the square meander for. I wanted to practice that because I wanted to do that on his quilt, and I put that on one of the calendar quilts. So that's on the frame. I've done a couple of passes, and it's really big, so it's going to take me a while. I'm about 28 inches in to what is like an 86-inch long quilt, so it's going to take me a little while, but you know, I put an audiobook on and I just go. That is going to be it for me. You guys have a wonderful week. Have a crafty week. Don't forget to share your quilt your own adventure. I would love to see a video, and I will see you next week. Bye.